Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It has been quite a long time, I think, since I made a video. I think it's 2 weeks, which is abhorrent. And I never intended for that to be the case, but unfortunately I got kind of sidetracked with, I was on a trip and then I got stomach flu on the trip and then I came back and then, New Year's was going on. So it's like I've been super busy lately. And even a little bit before my trip, it was chaotic, just with film stuff and whatever. So I'm finally at a place now where I can make a video. So awesome. So we're back. We have returned. As you can see, it's brighter now. I got better lights in here. We got canned lights in my room now. Because originally it was just like coming from my fan in the center of my room. Not anymore. So, yeah, this is a Saade'S Cantina, so you can DM me questions at Galactic Transmissions with an S on Instagram. Yeah, just Galactic Transmissions, all undercase, has the Star Tours logo as the profile picture. So you can DM me questions there if you have any or are interested to ask of any. And it's really just whatever, I don't, as long as it's not political or, weird, then you can ask me questions about Marvel, Star Wars, film, my life, whatever, and I will answer it for the most part. So, yeah, and it's in random order. I'm not like, going in order. So whether it starts with Star Wars or not, whatever. But today we'll just do this one. Favorite Marvel film? That's hard because I love Marvel and there's so many just great films in the Infinity Saga, and obviously not really anymore with this new branch. The new branch it's weird. The multiverse saga's been just a disjointed disaster. And the fact we're already getting those finale Avengers movies is just crazy to me. Because, like, when you compare the two, like, we were leading up to Thanos for years. And then here, it's like we've never really led up to anything. And there's, never been a point where all these characters are being introduced to are being connected. Just that hasn't happened. So it's like we have all these, it's like we've had the phase 1 of Multiverse Saga, right? But we're missing phase 2 and 3. So it's like we're jumping right into the end game of Multiverse Saga, at the end of phase 1, and it's like, well, that's kind of weird, right? It's like such a disjointed mess, and the DEI has slammed Marvel, I'd say, more than Star Wars. It's really bad over there, like really, really bad. And all the cherry picking, and it's just been such a disaster. And it's like you have those 2 or 3 movies that have been really good, and then the rest have just been dog crap, and it's like, well, I don't know what they expect at this point if they're delivering that kind of material. But yeah, the multiverse saga has been a mess. So when I say there's been a lot of great Marvel films, I'm talking Infinity Saga and, pre-Marvel Studios era. So there's just so many. It's like hard to choose. Star Wars, there's 6 movies, and then Rogue One and Solo, right? So like that's easy to narrow it down more, but Marvel, there's like 30 in the Infinity Saga, I believe, somewhere around there. I'd have to say right now, it changes. Sometimes it's Iron Man, sometimes it's Iron Man 3, sometimes it's Winter Soldier, sometimes it's Infinity War. Sometimes it's the first Avengers, sometimes it's Age of Ultron, and it kind of just floats around those. And then sometimes it's like Spider-Man 2, like the Tobey one. Yeah, so I'd say as of right now, it's the first Avengers movie. It's just, I rewatched it recently, and it's such a good film that you don't need a prequel or a sequel or anything to understand it. Like, it's a standalone movie, and I love that. Like, there's no, like, you don't need context at all. Like, you can go into that one and just know it without seeing anything else before. And they have these little sequences where they introduce each hero, and it's like it explains their whole character like in 1 minute. And that's like filmmaking genius, you know? It's like, you know, where Iron Man's underwater doing something with pipes, then he flies to Avengers Tower and you see his wealth and you see he has Pepper and you see, right? And then you're understanding his character fundamentally there. And then Captain America is in this old 40s boxing gym and you get flashbacks of First Avenger, and, you know, so you get set in that character's realm. And then Thor is introduced in a very Thor way, you know, lightning striking. He lands on top of the Quinjet, like rocking it with his power. You know, Hulk is introduced as a doctor, right, who's can turn into this just beast that demolishes everything. So now they're like extra precautious, you know, around him, and it's like it sets that all up, it sets Black Widow up, it sets Hawkeye up. So they're all set up, and then they all meet, and then they have to figure each other out, figure out how to work together, because a huge issue with them, I'd say, is that they had a very hard time working with other people. Like Captain America couldn't handle not being the center of attention for 1 minute, because that's kind of how he'd been his whole kind of life through the military. He was always the head honcho, you know, cheerleader for America, which I love about him. But, you know, when you're on a team of people who are just as good or better than you have to tone it down. And he had a hard time of doing that. And Tony had to learn that, you know, he can't solve every problem by himself, and that he's going to need to collaborate with other people and whatever, which I'd say he did pretty well. He adjusted, I think, better than a lot of them. Thor had to realize that, you know, your brawn and strength is not going to solve every problem. You know, that's one thing I'd say he learned. Black Widow had to learn to trust people, you know, and that was something that she had to break through. Hawkeye, you know, he's more like, he's interesting because he was under mind control for a lot of the film, so we didn't get a lot of time with him properly. I'd say he was more developed in Age of Ultron. But, you know, we got introduced to his character a lot in this film. But yeah, I wouldn't say he really changed or developed all that much, you know. Maybe he did, and I just am not understanding, you know. But in Hulk had to learn that, you know, I mean, Bruce Banner had to learn that the Hulk is a part of him, and that it's a part of him that should be utilized for good, right? And that it can be utilized for good, and he had to break through that fear of just harming people. And that's something that goes on through Age of Ultron, even. I'd say. And I think that's really his whole arc throughout the MCU, is just learning how to control the Hulk, you know, controlling that really angry part of himself. You know, and that's why he, you know, flies away in the Quinjet in Age of Ultron and, you know, crashes in, what's the planet in Thor Ragnarok, right? Like just out in the middle of the galaxy. Because on Scar, that's right, on Scar. Because he feels like he's just destructive to the world, and that he's just bringing harm, and that, you know, he's like, you know what, if I'm only going to bring harm, I'm out of here. And then Infinity War, he's just completely terrified out of even being the Hulk, and then in Endgame, he finally learns to control it, you know, and his arc is kind of complete by the time we reach Endgame. So his arc's really cool, and you see the complexity of it. You know, and Iron Man's obviously, I'd say, is the most complex. Him and Captain America. Because Captain America, another thing with Cap has two kind of arcs going at the same time, is Cap is having to adjust to the modern day without having any time to, you know, take it slow. He has to be going 100 miles per hour in a 25 lane, you know. when he just woke up from ice, being stuck in the 40s and World War II, and now he's in 2012, right? It's this huge, huge time jump for him. And he really has to adjust, and get used to the times and kind of figure the world out again. And it's very daunting to him. It's scary to him. It's like, it's not easy for him, I'd say. It's very difficult. And you see that, and how he's feels alone and feels left out and feels misunderstood. And you see that a lot in the first Avengers movie specifically. And then, you see it more in Winter Soldier. And even everyone treats him as like this, relic of the past, right? They can't just, it takes them a while to be able to treat him as like a present day human being, where he's really treated as like a museum relic for a long time. So yeah, it's just that film. It's people are like, oh, Marvel films have no depth to them. There's no character, development. There's none of that. And I'm like, that's not true. It's just undertones instead of it being the main focal point, of the project. And the same things with Star Wars, except I'd say it's a lot more in the focal point than Marvel is for, character development and stuff. But, at the end of the day, George made Star Wars to be an exciting adventure, right? So that's what it is. And then obviously there's all this beautiful story, unmatched beautiful storytelling throughout it. Marvel, is made to adapt plot lines from the comics into live action form, right? And have these thrilling, incredible, jaw-dropping adventures. But, there are cinematic rules. You're not just making a junk TV show, you are making a film. So you have to actually bring these characters to certain places. And they do. And they do it really well in the Infinity Saga. And it's stupid to say that Marvel is just flat and lame and, there's no story, no development. It's just there is. You just have to look for it. It's not right in your face. If you just stare at it, and don't analyze it at all, you're not going to be able to totally see it. It takes a little bit. You have to really watch. Let's look at Avengers 1 for an example. You have to watch that film 6 times, each in a different character's perspective. You watch it once in Iron Man's perspective, once in Captain America's perspective, once in Hulk's perspective. You could do it all at once, but you'd have to write stuff down and whatever. But I mean, it's not even that deep, actually. Like, that's what I do, because I think that's the best way to really learn the story and everything. But it is pretty much right there. I mean, the whole point of even having those intro sequences is to show where the character's starting at, right? And then you see where they are at the end of the movie and how they are different. Thor is totally different by the end of the movie. I'd say, he's way more friendly and open, by the end of that film, which is cool to see. And then by Age of Ultron, he's totally like, if you remember this party in Avengers Tower, he's totally chilled out and whatever. Yeah, so. And then obviously when Ultron happens, he stiffens back up again. But yeah, Avengers 1 is my favorite film for the complexity of it, I'd say. Mainly for the action and, Iron Man and whatever, but the complexity of it is unique, for sure. And there's a lot going on in the Marvel universe too. And we only talked about the Avengers, but then there's Loki, which is really interesting. Then there's Nick Fury, and there's S.H.I.E.L.D., and, Loki's possessed S.H.I.E.L.D. agents and all of that. But yeah, lovely film. Lovely, lovely film. I love the Avengers. So yeah, that would be my favorite one right now. What do you think about Skeleton Crew thus far? I stopped watching it, I think by episode, God, what would that be? Were we on 6? I didn't watch episode 4 at all. And then I skimmed through 5 just to see what's going on. And then there was the Saber thing, so I was interested. And then watched a bit of 6, but skimmed through it, and it was stupid, like nothing happened. But no, I don't hate that show. I wouldn't even say I'm just not interested. You know, it's like, it's not like, oh, this is bad, or this breaks canon, or this whatever. I'm just like, I don't care. Like, there's nothing in that show to make me care about it. I don't care about those characters that much. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't. You know, like, this just doesn't matter to Star Wars, you know, for the timeline at least. Like, this has zero impact on the lore, on the story, on the Jedi, on the Sith, on anything, you know? And it's like, that's just kind of like, why am I wasting my time? You know, like, there's no deep whatever storytelling, lessons to take away from it. It's not necessarily the most entertaining thing in the world, right? It's just like, I'm like, why? You know, and then at the end of the day, I'm just giving them more streams and whatever. So it's like, no. Yeah, I'm not in love with that show, but I don't hate it. I like it. It's fine. I see what it's doing, and it's doing its thing. There's definitely an audience for this show, typically way younger. Even the way it's directed is very much targeted towards kids. You know, there's good storytelling, like the characters are being developed and whatever, and they're changing and stuff's happening. The plot is changing and shifting. But I'm not going to call it Star Wars, because it's not. Star Wars should be way more exciting than that. It should be way larger on scale than that, you know. It shouldn't be that kiddie, you know. And Star Wars is targeted for everyone to be able to see it. But it is not that kiddie, you know, like, no. That's like, you could tell they wrote it in a way for younger audiences to understand it. And that to me is a huge, like, it just takes me out of it. Because you hear this, like, Disney Junior dialogue, and I'm like, dude, what on earth? But yeah, it's a kids show. I don't really care about it, to be honest with you. They've shown X-Wings like 3 times to try to keep it more tied into Star Wars, but I don't know, you know, and I'd say it feels a lot more like Star Wars than Andor. Like, there's creatures and aliens and a bunch of different planets, and the environments look worn, and it's like, and they explained Aten, you know, where it's like a treasure planet, so that's why everything's well kept. You know, but other than that, I'm like, oh, okay, I don't really care. You know, they set up this thing at the end of episode 5 with this lightsaber, did nothing with it. It was literally clickbait. Like, they clickbaited you into episode 6 with that. It led nowhere. Nothing happened with that. Like, it just was like there. Joe, to use the Force, turned it on, and that was it. Done. Then at that point, I'm like, why'd you even do that in the first place? Like, why? Why? Just to say you had a lightsaber in your product? You know, it's like stupid. I don't know. Whatever. It's just... don't give a shit. You know, and what's funny is when, I think it was episode 5 came out, I was out of town, and I was reading, gosh, I'm an idiot. I just completely blanked. I was reading a Legends, it's called, it's over there. The Empire Volume 1. It's a Legends, Marvel Legends collection of Darth Vader, after Order 66, hunting down surviving Jedi. It's really cool. I recommend you get it. And I was going through it, and I checked my phone for half a second, and I saw Theory's live stream, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot that was out. And then I just was like, I'll keep reading this. It'll be better anyways. You know, it's like, I was like, I don't care. I'd way rather just spend my time reading Legends than watching this new shit, you know, like, I don't care about this stuff. Like, really, I don't care about Disney stuff, man. Like, it's not real. To me, real canon is Legends. That's, like, kind of how I've always thought about it. And then Disney canon's, like, what Legends is to some people. You know, it's like that side thing, you know, but for me, it's the opposite. So it's like, I don't care, you know, if it interests me, I'll watch it. If not, I'm not, you know, like, I don't know. I used to force myself to see everything back in the day in my weird, like, delusional days where I just couldn't accept everything was as bad as it was. So, you know, I just realize now that that's such a stupid waste of your time. You know, I could be creating, or I could be reading and consuming real Star Wars that I know I will like, rather than consuming Star Wars I probably won't care about, right? It's like, I don't know. Yeah. Great question. Next question. Do you ever rewatch Disney Star Wars stuff? I used to. I used to rewatch Mando and you know, Rogue One and Solo. You know, I used to rewatch Tales of the Jedi and Rebels. Not so much anymore. I'm gonna be honest. Like, I haven't seen Rogue One or Solo in forever, and I love those movies. So it's like, that tells you something, you know? I really have just been a George Lucas purist lately. I'm gonna be honest, the past 6 months, I have to look in my calendar just to see around when that was. Yeah. Yeah, like the past 6 months, I really have not been rewatching any of the Disney stuff, whether I like it or not. I'm just like, all it does is dilute your George Lucas Star Wars knowledge, because you're having to remember all these things, and it's like, I don't know, and it's not the same. Like, why would I pick watching Rogue One over picking like Phantom Menace or Revenge of the Sith? Like, why would I do that, right? Like, I don't know. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I just have not been at all. Like, I've really only been watching the 6 films and occasionally Clone Wars, but like the George Clone Wars, like early Clone Wars. Um, yeah. And then I've only been reading Legends books, so I'm totally like just been in George Lucas Star Wars forever. Because, I don't know, it's just better. It's just so much better and more well made. And I've seen those films a bajillion times, but it doesn't matter because they're just better. So it's like I'm scrolling through, I'm like, no, I'm just going to end up watching one of the 6 films again. You know, it's like, all right, well. Yeah, so, yeah, not as much anymore. I mean, I watched like Ahsoka episode 5 last month or something, because that's just, the Anakin stuff in that episode's amazing. In the lesson he teaches Ahsoka, amazing, you know, and I need some reminders of that sometimes. Live or die, you know, that whole message of not being a mega pessimist, you know, so, you know, occasionally I do watch that. Not really though. Yeah, very, very, very occasionally, once in a blue moon. Um, you know, because I don't know, Ahsoka to me, it's a confusing bit of a show because it's like at one point it's it's like it's a great nah, it's just not. Like when it first came out, I was obsessed with it and I was like, this is the best Star Wars we've gotten in years, blah 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 blah. And then I rewatched it probably 2 months after its finale. And I remember just that first episode is so hard to sit through. It is just so boring and like lame. And then it ends with the Sabine stab. And then the second one was a little better. The third one was like filler. It's like I don't even care. The fourth one is great. The fifth one is great. The sixth one is great. And then the last two are just bad. Just plain up horrible. So, it's not as good as I thought it was back then, but I don't hate it. I don't dislike it, really. I still like the show. If you ask me, do you like Ahsoka? I'm going to say yes, I liked Ahsoka. But yeah, it's just has just such weird pacing and weird decision making, and it's like, I don't know, and the acting, Ahsoka is fine because it's her whole character arc thing, but there are times where you're like, why would they say that dialogue that way? Like, that direction is just terrible. It's like, why would you do that right there? It's like, no. But Hayden's acting in that show, he stole the spotlight. I think that's some of the best acting in Star Wars is him in that 5th episode of that show. It's just the emotional range, and how he's having to like flip from every point in Anakin's kind of life that fast, and how he'd never played Clone Wars Anakin before, so he had to relearn kind of that version of the character, well, really learn that version of the character for the first time. And he nailed it. And then he has those moments where he snaps to the dark side, and that's really hard to do acting wise, and then snap back to the light. Like, it's intense acting, and he just blows it out of the park, and that's what he does. He's just such a good actor, that he's just really able to knock it out of the ballpark every single time. So yeah, I'd say Hayden and what's his name, Ray Stevenson, were exceptionally good in that show, but I would not say anyone else was exceptionally good. Maybe Amon Esfandi. He was pretty darn good. Yeah, I'd say he was actually pretty phenomenal as Ezra. I'm going to be honest with you. He really played that character so well, yeah. Natasha Bordizzo, or whatever her name is, she had moments where like her acting was just disgustingly awful. Where you could see that like it was trying to be directed one way, but she was not doing it well. There were a lot of times there. Rosario Dawson just didn't have enough range, because that's Ahsoka's character at this point in time, doesn't have a lot of range. Not a lot going on, so I can't give it all that much praise. She did her job right, but I can't be like, oh, it was amazing, blah, blah, blah. It's like, wow. Ivana Sakno had the easiest acting job out of that show. At least Maroc had to pretend to die. That's at least something, she just was like, got to swing a lightsaber around, You know, it's like, well, that's fun. She did her job. You know, kind of like Rosario. Like, they did their jobs. It's like, all right. Hera was not a great acting job, to be honest. Jason did a pretty decent job for a child actor. Hu Yang was really good, too. That's true. But that's, like, doesn't count, because that's, like, Clone Wars. Yes, it counts. What am I... Yeah, that counts. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Ahsoka's... It's a very interesting show. And its quality range... You go from episode 5 and 6 of that show to episode 7? It's like, what the hell happened, dude? Ugh, yeah. It could have been, you know, right next to Mando Season 2. It was so close. If they had nailed those last 2 episodes, it would have been for me. Because then it would have just been like a whoosh instead of a whoop, you know, which is what it ended up being. So, sad. Anyways, great question. Yeah, I don't really anymore. Occasionally, if there's like an episode that I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty good, I'll go revisit it. But other than that, not really. Did you get cool stuff for Christmas? Yes, I did. I'm getting a 3-day pass to Disneyland, which is sick. That's always cool. I got another Legends collection. I will go grab right now. I got the Menace Revealed. So this is like episode 2 era Star Wars. It's leading up to episode 2, I believe. And it has the episode 2 Dark Horse comic in here as well, which is sick. Yeah. There's this frame of clones that is so freaking cool. Just wish I could find it. Where would it be? Be more back. Yeah, it'll be right here. That's sick, dude. Yeah. Even this alone, this is what I'm talking about when I mean these books are more Star Wars than anything Disney has made, period. Dude, forget Mando, dude. Forget Tales of the Jedi. Forget all of it. All of that is nothing compared to this frame. These frames, I guess, these 2 pages are more Star Wars than anything they have made. It's like not even that hard. Just like make it cool. That is all it takes. Just make it look cool. Have stuff from previous films, you know? It's like not that hard. Like really and truly, think about it. We have not had live action droids in action since Revenge of the Sith. It's ridiculous. They got a cameo the first time in years in Mando Season 3, and then again in Skeleton Crew, where they're just, like, standing. But, like, you know, it's just ridiculous. Like, it's simple things, man. Oh, hell no. What the... That's crazy. Alright, that was kind of weird. I'm not putting that... Alright, that's interesting. That's freaky. What the hell? Alright, anyways. It was just Anakin being a simp. Or something. Man, what the fuck? Like, honestly, what the fuck? Like, come on. Like, right here, too, the Senate guards. Like, Legends just has this vibe throughout. No matter what era you're in, it has this specific vibe, because that's what George would do. Like, he'd make sure it was consistent. You know, which is what Disney Star Wars actually publicly said, and they are proud of this, that they are trying to have a bajillion different visions in one timeline. It's like, yeah, that doesn't work. It doesn't. Even the art styles are always like somewhat similar, which is awesome. And I am telling you right here, if this happened in a TV show or in a movie, all the fake fans and TikTok fanboys would be shitting their pants, saying that this is the best Star Wars we've ever had, or their key phrase, best Star Wars since 2005. They would be shitting their pants over this, and it would be all over edits and all over everything. But it already exists. But since it's in a comic, it doesn't get any attention. And because it's in real Star Wars and it's in real Legends material, it doesn't get attention and they don't care about it. It's like, it's so funny, dude. Like, these clowns, they're actually clowns. The fake fans are like, it's like, yeah, I'd be super excited too, but I'd be like, yeah, that was in that one comic. This already happened. So this is not as completely creative and insane as we thought. And actually, what's funny is Disney picks out of Legends a lot. They pick little details out of Legends quite often. Yeah, it's quite hilarious. Like, look at this too. Like the Doug, who's a bounty hunter. Like, you don't get silly, goofy stuff like that anymore. It's always just lame. Just completely lame. I miss this stuff, dude. Like, honestly, dude. Or like a Senate assassination attempt. Like, this is sick. Like, that totally could be an Andor, right? Like, come on. I don't know. There's just so much cool stuff in here. Damn, Polis Massa. Dude, that's sick. I don't know. It's just like, it's making Star Wars is truly not the hardest thing in the world. Now that George has laid all that groundwork, told us how he did it, what to do, and we have all of Legends, it is not that hard to do. But they just don't, they haven't seen it before. It's like they have not seen it before. And they've never read a word of a Star Wars book before. It's like, then no wonder why it's bad. But yeah, that's a really great one. That's up there for me. What else? Oh yeah, I got a few Funkos. Well, actually, I bought most of those. So I got one that was a gift. More off. It's like I'll go get him. Right here. He's in Rogue One and Solo, and he's awesome. I've always loved him, and I had no idea that Funko existed. So, pretty cool. What else? I got the Revenge of the Sith t-shirt from Tilly's. It's that one CV Los Angeles one, so that's cool. I got a John Williams vinyl, which is awesome. It's his Tokyo concert. And they actually released that on Disney Plus, so I watched it on the plane, and that was awesome to see. Yeah, but that's it. I got a lot of cool stuff this year, so very grateful. Did you see the 20th Revenge of the Sith logo? Yes, I did, and that's very cool, and that gets me very excited, because there's going to be a lot of really cool merchandise for Revenge of the Sith, really because of how it's, trendy right now. I have been a Revenge of the Sith fan during the days where it was, like, trashed, where people were, like, still talking crap about it, having no idea of how good of a story it was. Like, these were the times I grew up in, where it was insane if you didn't say Empire was your favorite. Like, that's how I grew up. And now these tourist people market off of it and say they understand it and say Revenge is their favorite. when they just say that to sell their stupid lightsabers. They resell their lightsabers by saying, you know, I love the prequels and blah 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 blah. It's like you don't know a thing about the prequels, dude. And then there'll be times where they're actually like doing a real Star Wars video and they just absolutely have no clue. Like there's this one video where there's a bunch of those lightsaber people. That's what I call them, saber folk, who are a group of tourist fans who they clout chase using Star Wars for their own profit and for their own fame. And there is these just basic trivia questions being asked. Like stuff you could go ask Google, Star Wars trivia questions, and it pops up and it's like the easiest questions in the world. They were being asked those questions, and it was like, if you didn't know the question, you'd be knocked in the pool. And it's like, there was one of these questions where I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It was like someone's lightsaber color or something. And they just had no clue. They had no clue. And it was like, or it was, what is someone's name? And it wasn't even an obscure character. Like it was a like main character pretty much. No idea. Knocked in the pool. It's like, dude, what the fuck? You know, they have diluted the prequels so much. And it's like, you guys were the ones who would just run to Empire and say, oh yeah, that's the best one. And now since Revenge is trendy and that's the most popular one right now, everyone runs to it. It's like, dude, what is this, man? Like, seriously, these fake people, fake fans, dude. It's like, you guys are not the ones who have been waiting for a Revenge of the Sith re-release for, 13 years. That's me. That's all me, dude. Like, what a joke. These clowns, man. Like, they're honestly clowns. Honestly. Stupid people, dude. And it's like, oh, you could say I'm gatekeeping. If that's what you want to call it, feel free. But there is a real fan and a fake fan, and they're very easy to singulate. Fuck, I'm so tired, guys. Like, really. Really easy to triangulate. And a lot of these people who are plants by lightsaber companies, and the stuff they have in their room is just paid for by the saber company. And they're publicity people, and they advertise the lightsaber by acting like they're a fan. And they have discount codes to all these different saber websites. So they're fake corporate sellouts. There's a lot of them. I could give names right now. I don't know if I want to. Yeah, I'll do it. I have already done this before. So Luke's lightsaber, Tuca, Carly King, Marley, what's her name? Bounty something, Bounty Saber, Marley, the Ray side. These are all plants. And there's God, what's his name? Fuck. There's two of them. I don't know their names, but I see them all over the place. I'm gonna give me 1 second. Retney's holocron. He's just a shill. He's not what's the difference, right? I don't know. So he's just a mega shill who liked the Acolyte and everything. But he's obnoxious and fake too. So I guess we'll count him. Retney's holocron. God, what's his name? Dude, why am I forgetting his name? He's like a young kid, younger like in his early 20s. Fuck, what? Damn it, dude. I forgot his name. Yeah, but there's basically, yeah, there's a few more. And then there's another guy who's obsessed with Grogu to a weird extent, and it's like all over his page, and like he's a mega, mega, mega shill. Like he's super shillful. Um, yeah. Those guys are just plants. They're plants. Like I don't know how else to explain it. Like they Carly King especially, she definitely joined like a Hollywood cult or something because she gets invited to Netflix stuff, she gets invited to Disney stuff, I know Hulu's a subsidiary of Disney, but still, Hulu stuff, that's all different publicity agents, you know? It's like I don't know what the hell she did to get all of that, you know, when her page is very small. Um like very small. It is not big at all. Like Theory with 3.3 million subs could get, you know, if he was a shill, he could get all of that and more, you know, but her page is tiny. So I don't know what she did to get all of that, but there's no way she is the biggest fan of that many brands, of Star Wars, Star Trek, what's it called? Netflix, and of all these things. It's like there's no way. You cannot be the biggest fan of like 8 franchises. Like I just don't understand. It's ridiculous. Like honestly, like you're not. You're a plant. You are a corporate plant and you are there purely to advertise. And I remembered another one of their names. Star Wars Replicas. Absolute corporate sellout. This man speaks politically on his Star Wars page. This man reposted the stupid Molly and Alex Damon, who are also corporate sellouts and mega shills at the same time. He reposted their virtue signaling article that tried to get my boy Ryan Kennel and Jeremy and Gary all canceled for having their own opinions, and Theory was targeted in that as well. He reposted that. He's fake. He is an idiot. He is a shill. He is almost as bad as Carly King. I'm going to be honest. Those two are both horrible. Except I think he started out authentic because he has this huge Star Wars collection, and there's no way that's sponsored. Like he collected all of that. So he started out authentic, I'd say, and then he just kind of fell to the dark side or something, you know, and now he's just a corporate sellout. But he hasn't added one thing to that collection in forever. It's just pretty funny. I don't know. Yeah, but he's a sellout. Dude, Will of the Force, I'd say he wants to be a sellout really bad, but he can't be because he used to be authentic. So like, you know, it's like he has clips of him being authentic, so he's disqualified, you know. Yeah, he's a shill. There's a music guy who pretends like he loves Star Wars as well, but knows nothing and is a corporate Disney shill. Ashton Charette, complete shill. He had really cool Star Wars music analysis videos, but that was all bait. And then he stopped making those, and he just thought he's part of the fandom. And he said crazy shit during the Acolyte, you know, and then just he reposted the thing too. It's like, oh god, dude, these people. And so now you see the general audience I'm talking about when I mean corporate sellouts. Who all supposedly love Revenge of the Sith. Yeah. When it's me, not me and like me, but me and the, you know, other few Star Wars fans who started this in the first place, you know. Theory, the biggest influence on that, I'd say he's the one who turned the tide for the prequel trilogy in the fandom. Because he made those videos that just went hyper viral all over YouTube, that explained George's vision and explained the prequels to people, you know? And that was the biggest, I'd say, occurrence, for sure. And biggest revelation for a lot of those people who are shills, that had to accept the prequels were great. Like half those guys, I'm sure, were like anti-prequel until, like I said, it was popular. So yeah. So yeah, I'm stoked for Revenge of the Sith 20th. There's gonna be a lot of cool merchandise. A lot of, really cool, little things leading up to it, I'm sure, and I'm super excited to see it in theaters. And if they don't re-release it in theaters, I don't know, man. Like, that'll just be it. I just won't see Mando and Grogu. Like, that's just the biggest disrespect ever. Um, you know, I'm done. At that point, like, they're fucking insane. They already are, but like that's a different level of just fucking ridiculous. You see all this online about how people have been dreaming of this, of seeing Revenge of the Sith in theaters. The generation who weren't born in the 2000s. The generation who I think ultimately helped bring it back, which were the millennials. They really brought the prequels to the forefront. They saw it in theaters, but then the back end of them didn't. Or would that be Gen Z? Or the early Gen Z people too. So it's like both of those parts, like, of those generations really have made this possible. And it's happening. Like, we are getting a 20th, revenge thing. But what's very concerning, and I've brought this up multiple times, is there's also a 10th anniversary Force Awakens going on at the same time. That's very concerning to me. And I'm really hoping that does not take away from the Revenge of the Sith 20th. And if they were smart, they wouldn't focus on Force Awakens as much. Wouldn't have as much merchandise, whatever. Wouldn't re-release that in theaters. But what I assume they'll do is they'll re-release both. And that will be the biggest backfiring action for them, because they will see the numbers of people going to Revenge and the numbers of people going to Force Awakens, and that will slap them right back in the face. It's like when you pull back, one of those, like a rubber band, and it snaps on your thumb right here because you didn't you didn't move your thumb away from it. That's what it'll be like. It'll be like, ooh, look at that. It's true. Your movies are fucking shit. Believe it or not, and that'll be a big, like, wake-up call for them. They're beyond wake-up calls. They've had so many at this point, but that'll just reiterate it again, Yeah, so, yeah, I did see the logo, and I'm very excited. Best movie of 2024. Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm going to be honest with you. Screw those A24 people. Screw all those, like, oh, I'm an independent filmmaker, so now I'm going to be a snot about my film taste. Deadpool and Wolverine was the best film of the year. I loved it. It was fun. It was entertaining. It brought optimism and joy back to the cinemas. It had, again, really deep character arcs for Deadpool and Wolverine, and you saw they were opposites and how they had to learn to work together. Very cool. But yeah, absolutely, that was my favorite movie of the year. Super well done. Very funny, too. I very, very rarely find comedies funny. But that one makes you laugh, because it's just dirty humor, so it's hilarious. But yeah, that's all the questions I have for today. So thank you guys for watching. I will be back hopefully soon. So see you guys in the next video. Till the next one, may the force be with you always. And submit questions to Galactic Transmissions on Instagram. Goodbye.